afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Lockdown Lunch with me, Kelly Ransom. This is week, I don't know anymore. And for those of you tuning in for the first time ever, I started this broadcast a couple of weeks ago when I got locked down in Boston. And I've been inviting my friends on to tell their different stories and perspectives of their lockdown situations. So last week we focused on people from out of state, so states other than Massachusetts, and we're kind of continuing that this week. So I would like to welcome my very special guest for today, Terrence Burke.
No. It's me, Coleman.
Coleman, how are you?
Hi, Kelly. How are you?
I haven't seen you in like 3 years.
No, my hair grew.
You look great.
Thanks. I like your what do you call that? A bonnet?
Oh, it's a little headband.
You look like Minnie Mouse.
That's the goal.
Oh, I'm gonna eat some fluff. I'll be back.
All right, perfect snack for today. So Terrence is in Cincinnati, Ohio, and if you couldn't tell, he's a puppeteer. He's also a teaching artist and the founder of Wump Mucket Puppets. He and I met a couple years back when I was co-hosting It's All About Arts with Glenn Williams on BNN, and I'm so happy for us to connect today. So welcome, Terrence and all your friends.
They're all in my mind.
Yeah. I must ask, what day is it?
Well, let me look at my phone. Monday? Do I qualify?
That sounds about right to me.
You know, even before all of this happened, I only look at my day timer to see where I'm supposed to be, what time is the load in, what time is the show, when do I load out. Days of the week mean nothing to me, really. Although Saturday, Svenguli's on, I know that.
That's a great way of keeping track.
That's it.
Just selective.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been on lockdown since March 11th, and I've been asking all of our out-of-state guests how it went down in their state. So how did lockdown happen in Ohio?
From what I remember, it seems like yesterday as well as an eternity.
Yes.
It happened pretty quick. I had a meeting at Wordplay, which is a local nonprofit literary arts center where I teach on weekends, and that was on a Monday. And then I had another meeting on Wednesday, and then I get the email says, your classes for Saturday are canceled. And like, oh no. And then the following, it was a Tuesday, was election day here in Ohio. And
right, I remember that, yeah.
And I had a show booked that afternoon. And they didn't know if they were going to cancel, postpone, and I didn't get the word on that till I think Monday afternoon. And so then it's kind of steamrolled, and now my summer is just dwindling away.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of shows lined up, right?
Goodness, yeah. Summertime for a touring puppeteer is our Christmas season. Most of my income comes in June and July, and that's for library summer reading as well as day camps and school programs and community centers. And I had a nice, healthy summer booked, and it's dissipating daily.
That stinks. I had a bunch of events lined up, but not anymore.
Yeah, so trying to
I'm
make
sure
do.
People at home are very, very interested on how you became a puppeteer.
My. It's a long journey, but it began in childhood, where I'm originally from Boston. I was born in Boston, and in fact, my wife used to live in Jamaica Plain, and I'm from Dorchester. Yes, I grew up in Andover, but then moved back to Boston because I had enough of the suburbs. Anyway, began as a child watching TV, especially Boston TV. We had Major Mud, we had Romper Room, Bozo, and Rex Trailer, and none of which had a lot of puppets. But then on national television, you had Captain Kangaroo, Mr. Rogers, and Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. And then on November 10th, 1969, I was almost 4 years old. Sesame Street hit the air. It blew my mind. And I started asking my parents, how did they do that? What is this? Oh, they're puppets, and they put them on their hands, and there's people behind there. And I kept asking. We get books out of the library. My dad took me to a puppetry festival at the Heinz Convention Center in 1970.
Whoa.
And I met Carol Spinney for the first time. Now, Carol was the puppeteer beneath Oscar the Grouch and Big Bird, and he's originally from Waltham. And I'm very honored to have made that acquaintance then.
Yeah.
But it continued through my life, fortunately, and we reconnected in the early 2000s. And I'll fill that in a second. So I was a puppet geek kid, making puppets out of anything until about junior high school, which would have been 1976 or so. Peer pressure set in. I was made fun of for playing with dolls.
Aww.
Dolls. He plays with dolls.
Oh, sorry for the interruption.
Not a doll.
And I don't know where they come from. Anyway, so the puppets got put into a box and kind of forgotten. On the plus side, I became an AV nerd, so learned about technology and things back then. It's all obsolete now. Drama club, choir. So learned these different skills that I was able to use many, many years later when puppetry came back into my life. And I'll be totally honest with you, it saved me.
Good.
My father suddenly passed away in 2001. I went into a severe depression, dealing with the grief and just many other things. I wasn't being creative. I was in a job I wasn't very happy with. It just was a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
And I eventually, and I'll again be quite frank, was contemplating suicide. It was that unbearable. And my wife fortunately intervened, got me into counseling. And I'm pretty sure it was in the very first session with the doctor, he said to me, "What makes you happy?" And just totally off the top of my head, he said, "Puppets." And he said, "Well, what are you going to do about that?" And I said, "Well, I guess, I should." So I joined the Cincinnati area puppetry guild. Oh, here's someone. There he is. Oh, me. Oh, hello, Kelly. How are you? Oh, sorry, Unca. It's Unca. Oh, he's going to get some lunch. There. There.
They love the spotlight.
Yeah, they do. And it started building, started making and learning. My wife, Laura, helped build a lot of the earlier ones, although everything I build today. And in between all of that, we had 2 kids. So the puppets were kind of put on the back, but the children, my daughter and son, were instrumental in getting it to the public, because up to that point, it was just a hobby.
Right.
And it was used to entertain them over their crib.
Oh, that's so cute.
Picking up Eleanor from preschool, and the teacher asked me to come speak to her. And I said, what's up? And she said, "Your daughter keeps telling me that you're a puppeteer." And I said, "Well, yeah, I play with them at home with the kids." And she said, "Would you mind bringing something in and putting a show on?" Okay, yeah, I do. And I have only one of the originals that is still with us, and he's needed a rebuild. We'll bring him up. But he was there. This is number 1.
Oh, I remember him.
Hi, Kelly. This is Sarah. Hello. How's the weather in Boston?
It's actually horrible.
Oh, I could sure go for a swim.
You could probably do that here.
Yeah, we don't have much water in Cincinnati. All right, I'm going to have some Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
Off he goes. So Cyril was there, and the show lasted 10 minutes. I remember my arms were shaking so much. I was either nervous and not used to holding them up. It was 10 minutes. Did the show. The kids liked it. And then afterward, the teacher said, "I should speak to you." Sure. And I was paranoid. I thought, did I say something wrong?
Yeah.
She pulled me aside and she said, "You should do this more often." I said, "Oh." So when a kindergarten teacher gives you the thumbs up on your first time out, may as well keep doing it. So it started growing. started doing some volunteer work. I would perform at the Ronald McDonald House in Cincinnati
Oh, nice.
and donate some shows. And gradually those shows started paying, and then it started growing, and became a part-time job. And then finally, goodness, what was it, 3 years ago, right after I met you,
Wow.
we became a real company. And I quit my day job, and now I get to be a unemployed puppeteer. So, yeah, I know.
But still a
However,
puppeteer.
if you could tell by my demeanor how I talk about it, it was late in life, but I finally found my place. And
Yes.
what you're supposed to do, not all of us find it. Sometimes we find it late, but better that than never at all.
I
And
totally agree.
since then, I've performed all over Ohio, Kentucky, bits of Indiana, New England several times. You know, I've been on PBS. I was on a program there. I've been in television commercials, and so, you know,
It's awesome.
it's the life of an artist. You're working gig to gig, but especially as a live performer, I can hear them and meet the kids afterward.
Yeah.
And then now, as a teacher, I can show them, you know, how to make things and how to continue this gift of puppetry. Because as I tell the kids, first, your imagination is the number one tool right there. Everybody can use it. But I always tell them in my classes that the world needs more puppeteers. We're storytellers. We're craftspeople.
Yes.
Sometimes some of us are musicians, but ultimately we share joy. My hashtag are share joy, make believe in yourself, and puppets rock.
Puppets rock.
Absolutely. And the kid who was made fun of back in 1976 is now sometimes, and I kid you not, I performed in an elementary school to 300 kids. It's like a rock concert. They are screaming. And then you have to high five 300 kids.
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't do that today.
No.
But the energy coming back and
Oh,
forth,
yeah.
it is simply amazing. And yeah, TV's fun and cool. However, live performance is it for me.
I totally get it. And like you're a rock star to them, and so are your puppets.
Trying.
So, you have so many different puppets. I'm wondering, like, what kind of creatures do you base them on, and how does it start from an idea to a character?
Sure, great question, because the kids ask this too, because children by nature are very curious. And when the show was all coming around, oh goodness, that would have been around 2010 or so. You know, you could do your usual puppet show on fairy tales and, you know, whatever creatures have, you know, a mailman, a fireman, a nurse, whatever it might be. There's no right or wrong in puppetry. But I thought, write what you know. Why not create creatures and animals and things that you're interested in? And that is where the interest, let me grab them out here, since he's number one, you know, a sea serpent. I like cryptozoology and Loch Ness Monster and things like that. Dragons, you know, he's been that. And of course, you know, if you have that, if that's the right hand, and then the Squatch is over on the left hand.
Sasquatch Coleman!
I got fluff in my fur. And then gradually, I tried my hand at making people. And
that sounds harder.
It much harder.
Hello.
Oh, hello there. My name is Wix Willie.
I love your hair.
Thank you. Laura made her hair. It's all yarn.
It's beautiful.
And she is our friendly, kooky, spooky witch who is in our Halloween show. And she's a different style puppet. She is a traditional hand puppet, so I'm operating her.
Oh, you're doing
with fist, which is also American Sign Language for I love you, which I think is pretty cool.
So
how you're controlling a puppet. But her head is, let's see, in the camera, this is all paper mache.
Oh, wow.
And I sculpted her face using plasticine. Let me move her. There she is, for a profile. and turn her the other way.
Great makeup.
Yeah, Laura did the makeup because I've never applied makeup, so I don't know. But I built the head and the face and built everything up, and then Laura did make her costume as well. She's a much better seamstress. If I have to make a single puppet, I can do that, but I'm not so great at making clothes for them yet.
Fashion design.
Right, learning. But going back to the style and the reason behind, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I'm sure you've heard of Puff and Stuff, Marty Krofft,
Oh yeah,
Saturday
my
Morning.
mom was really into HR Puffin stuff.
All right. She is my wink to Witchy Poo.
Okay,
And then
got it.
also my very favorite movie, Wizard of Oz. So her name, Witch Willie. Billy Hayes is the actress who played Witchy Poo, Wilhelmina, Willie, and that. So, but she's a helpful witch. She's not scary, mean. And kids like to ask her, turn me into something. Oh no, I'll help you with a potion, but for good. Especially with Halloween and my Halloween show, where my audience is generally 4 to 10 years old, and Halloween can get very overbearing and terror. Look at our world now. There's enough uncertainty and terror and scariness. So in my Halloween program, we tell silly, spooky stories, nothing horrific. We like to have fun because there's not a lot of fun. And sadly, I feel that some children's offerings, especially on television, could do a better job at sharing joy. So
I agree.
Witch Willie comes in. So yeah, that's a different style, but it all goes to, in a roundabout way, writing about creatures and interest with be they mythological creatures. Oh, you want to see the latest?
Yes, of course.
Speaking, this is I built him. Goodness, when was this? November. I finished him.
Oh wow! Oh yes, I've seen that one online. The unicorn?
Yes, Quincy the unicorn, which she
Gorgeous.
is just a neck and head. I've learned that scale is important over
time. He looks heavy.
And he is just basically a big foam block with a mouth put in, and then antler and ears.
I love it.
And trying a different process, building up over this foam skull, and then trying to still develop my own look. Jim Henson's footprint is very deep in puppetry.
Right,
and
I bet.
This is my attempt at the Terrence Burke look, and trying different style eyes, but again, keeping in with the mythological creatures and things that
really
are
bright colors. I love the bright colors.
And another puppeteer who was in my audience brought up that exact point. She told me, whenever you have your puppets that are really bright on stage, she said the kids would perk up. And then with some, like, for example, Unca Unca, who's a caveman, but his costume, grab him here, is, kind of brown and normal. Yeah. But, it's fit for him, but not for the stage. Maybe I should make something lighter for him. But when they see the bright colors.
Oh, yeah, that's a wake-up call.
Exactly. So
I love it. So I'm curious, when you think of the creature and you start building it, do you also write like a storyline for them in your head, or does it come out as you're doing shows? Or
often the idea for what the story will be was first. I knew for what I was going to tour this summer, which is called Fairly Hairy Tales. I wanted some of the regular cast would be in it, and I cast them like an ensemble theater.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Sometimes people misunderstand that. They think I'm doing the same show, but did you turn into Carol Burnett's show and think you're doing the same show? Do you watch Saturday Night Live and think you're doing the same show?
Right.
No. The Sasquatch plays a knight. He's played an astronaut. He's been a pirate. The kids get it. The kids get it, but the big kids
not so much.
Wait, it's landing in East Boston. Oh, it went into the water. Oh, wait. I got to have a snack.
How
Good.
very
What's up?
New England.
Good.
So you've been teaching now to how to make puppets.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's a lot of adults who have their children at home who are running out of activities to do.
Ah, I've got them.
So can you make puppets at home with your kids if you've never done it before?
Absolutely. When the whole COVID-19 went down, immediately my Saturday morning classes were cut like that. And I had kids who show up, and goodness, I had some in this last session, these two little girls were, bam, they were into it, and they did it all. And they were great because I could see myself. I said, they're taking it all in and they want to know. So I thought, well, what do I do? Well, I'll bring it online. But rather than making it out of all the tools I need, sewing machine, carving knives and things, and kids don't have access to that.
I don't have access to that.
You can make a fun puppet out of cardboard and a paper towel. There's some guy out there who can make 1 million puppets with these.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So this is the cereal box Sasquatch. We'll bring him up here.
Oh,
and,
that's so cute.
And this is just off a box of Cheerios and a tissue roll and just glued on in colored pencils.
I love it.
And do that to show other styles. We made, let me get them out of the cord here. This doesn't look like much, but when you turn it around and put it, but behind a light, like a blanket, to make shadow puppets.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
And then just, during Easter, these are made for kids, so I have to get my hands in. There we are.
A little finger puppet.
Yep, little no-sew finger puppet, just a piece of felt, cut, clip. You can make these in 10 minutes.
That's great.
And this is all, I started a whole part of my website called Puppet Crafts for Kids, where I do the demo live and then upload it and put all it archived on my website so people can go. And I thought, well, more kids want something, they can make their cardboard puppets. So why not, though, give them access to something?
That's cool.
I'm giving these away.
Ooh! How can we have the kids enter?
If they go to wumpnucketpuppets.com, and right on the front page it says win a puppet, and the deadline is Wednesday, so they have to make, it's really simple. They have to like us on social media, be it Instagram or Facebook, whatever they're comfortable with. I know some people don't like Facebook, but I'm okay with. And then the children have to make 2 of the puppet crafts. There are about 6 of them now online. And then their mom or dad has to take a picture of the puppet, and share it with us, just the puppet. We don't need to see a picture of the kids. I respect everyone's privacy. And then on our show this coming Thursday, on the 30th, I will draw out of my magic hat. And yes, I have a magic top hat.
I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do. Yeah, come on, I'm a puppeteer. I need that. And so I'll draw it. And there's a bonus drawing that if they draw a picture of one of my characters, and they're all online, and take a picture of that, they get entered in twice. And I'm just calling these puppet scraps. The kids can name them whatever they like.
That's so
I had
cool.
all this extra fur, so I thought, oh. And the way that the 2 different shades.
I love that, yeah.
Like this.
Oh. I love that. You might be the person to put a future puppeteer onto their path.
You never know. Every child and every person really is capable of telling their story. Maybe not through a puppet, but especially with children, the puppetry encourages them. And with Puppet Crafts for Kids that I put on my website, that is to get that bonding. We have this time now to make things together.
Yeah.
I got a message from a father whose child entered, and they said, that was pretty fun. My 5-year-old sat there, we made puppets together for an afternoon.
I love
And,
it.
my kids are teenagers now, but when they were little, we did more crafting like that. They're not so interested now. But I think there's that need to get that tactile, that hands-on, and making things. Yeah. And I try to make these crafts 4 or 5 steps, so they're very simple. They can be made in 10, 15 minutes.
Perfect.
And then the kids can tell stories with them and have fun. And ultimately, that's my goal. Have fun through puppets.
Right.
I just want to share it and just get more puppeteers out there. Because, us old guys, we won't be able to do this forever.
You got to pass it down. Just like you had your inspirations. So.
Exactly.
I think it's great. And I think that kids are going to, I can't imagine a little kid making a little creature puppet thing and not being creative and not having an imagination. It's such a great opportunity and a different outlet for them. So I really love that you're doing that.
I am trying.
You're succeeding. So you also build sets.
I do. I make everything in the show. I come up with the idea.
Right?
I build the puppet. I write the music. I make the sets. I load it in. I load it out. I do the website. It's what? Sorry. Hang on. I apologize. What's happening here? Oh, here it is. Yes.
Oh, the phone! The phone!
I'm sorry. I got to take this call.
Go back.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We have a sponsor, and that was the boss that he wanted me to remind everyone.
Okay.
Today's show is brought to you by pizza.
I didn't see that one.
Tell me, Kelly, have you ever been to the same old place there in Jamaica Plain?
I absolutely have.
Laura and I used to go there frequently when Laura lived there. And boy, oh boy, that was great pizza. Okay. All right, there's the word for the sponsor.
Now, do the kids ask what type of phone this is? Because I don't know a lot of kids who know the rotary anymore.
I don't know. That phone was built for a commercial that I made for my local pizza shop around the corner.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I had to animate it with a rod against a black curtain. And it's only on screen for not even 5 seconds, but I had to make it ring. And if they don't, that's okay. And then at first, I thought it was kind of a blooper. The receiver falls off. I said, no, that's funny. It's ringing off the mark. So I left it in. The client liked it. There it is. Yeah.
What's the pizza place called?
It's called NYPD Pizza. It's very similar to same old place. That kind of sort of New York style, thicker crust on the edge of that.
All right.
Yeah, no, gosh, now you're going to get me homesick.
So when you build a set, how do you, is it cardboard or is it structures?
I use a lot of what's called Luan, which is about a 1/4 inch plywood.
Okay.
And I have to sand the edges a lot because it has to hold up to being loaded in, loaded out, sometimes falling, and it just have to take up with a lot of beating.
Right.
And I've learned over the years that my puppet stage is 7 feet wide and about 9 feet tall.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a bother. But it fits me in because then the playboard is only about 6 feet, which when you're working with the puppets, that gives you enough room for them to react. So everything keeps on getting smaller. And that is just the frame that I have to use to put it in. I have, over the years, finally figured out that it's better to imply a certain scene rather than to go and say, all right, we're going to build a castle, so we're going to build a whole castle. So what I've ended up doing is I put 2 towers and turrets. Once again, the kids who are smarter and buy it right away say, there's the castle. Where sometimes it doesn't look like a castle. I only see the turrets. Like, use your imagination. The kids get it. For a moon, we just did, again, kind of on the sides, a moonscape, and then I made on the front of the playboard, which is the stage for the puppets,
That's so
a little
cool.
moonscape. So kind of minimalist theater. In fact,
Yeah.
it brings back my very first time on stage, 1974. I played Snoopy in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Great show.
Yeah, I love it, and I need to get that CD. And again, it was very minimalist. My doghouse was just 2 cubes, but the kids knew. We absolutely.
Right.
It doesn't have to be exactly like it. And those same cubes were used for the desks when they were in the schoolroom and they had to go to the house. So I think children have that ability to make believe along.
Absolutely.
And sadly, some grown-ups they lose that. I'm so
Not me.
fortunate that I never did. You know, I'll be out walking and I'll see something and it looks like a puppet. I just see things that way. Trees, street signs. I guess it's
I
in
find
my.
smiley faces and everything.
Yeah, you see it, and flowers. These are all my felt flowers.
I love those.
And yeah, so I'm very much from the punk rock do-it-yourself way.
Yeah.
It's more fun, in the end, cheaper, and then you learn how to make it yourself. And I didn't have any special training other than reading a lot of books, looking at other people, seeing out, and then just figuring it out on my own. Does it work? Sometimes it doesn't. But
I think it's great. I think you're doing it.
And ultimately, and I've learned this over the years. I'm my own worst enemy and critic. I'll say, oh, but so and so won't like that, and my wife will throw back at me, did the kids like it? Well, yeah. She goes, that's it. Yeah, that's it. You won.
Oh, that's special.
So I just have to keep that in my mind.
Oh, I totally feel that. I'm definitely my worst critic. I think that everything I do is terrible, in the beginning at least.
Yeah, but with anything, you just keep trying.
Yes, absolutely. So have you been doing shows online? I know you've been doing the classes, but are you doing shows that
Absolutely. On Tuesdays, we're doing the craps, and on Thursdays at 2, I do a mini show. The very first one, I tried to do my full theatrical show. It doesn't translate. And these shows were written and rehearsed and built for live performance, and throwing a webcam and lights in front of it, it just loses it. So what I've done is kind of like the setup I have right now. I will just put on a puppet and have them up in front and do it out in front for 10, 15 minutes. And
that's great.
Yeah, I've gotten great feedback from it. I'm going to try to do the summer show. Again, it comes down to my limited technology budget of 0.
Yeah.
And all money has frozen. It's stopped. Nothing's coming in. And it'll be interesting. I'm going to give it a try. I guess in my head, I'm thinking, I want this broadcast quality. And it's not going to be a reality. I was looking at ways to do it, and it's expensive. I don't have the camera and the proper lighting and all that stuff. So I'm going to try.
Yeah, I mean, I set this up. I was just like, I'll just do this and it'll be easy. And then I realized I needed equipment and a tripod and blah, 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 blah. But I'd say I did it all for about $150. And it's, stuff I'll use in the future. So I thought that it was an okay purchase. I do a lot of, videos and stuff for work.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's hard. I was just lucky that I had the little bit of extra sitting around. Otherwise, we'd be looking at me on my camera phone right now.
Yeah, I think camera is my biggest drawback. I've got my phone and then a laptop and then the iPad. what I lack is the switcher and the way to integrate all my pre-recorded music and sound effects.
Oh
And
yeah,
then,
that's difficult.
and then finally, manpower.
Yes.
I'm a company of one,
Yeah.
and people have said, "Oh, can't you get someone?" Then I have to pay them. But I'm not going to call in favors for that because I would pay them.
Right.
And I can't afford it. I just don't. I don't want to put the stress on my children to say, all right, you got to learn how to do this, and this is how it's going to do it.
Right. Oh, that's
And
good of you, though.
it is. It's just stressful. So I'm going to try it, and we'll see what happens.
You're just gonna get better and better and better. Like, I'm learning new stuff every day doing this. And if it's what you need, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that. So Tuesdays are puppet class making, and
Puppet
Thursdays
crafts for
are
kids,
puppet shows.
And we do the mini show and that's there. I'll bring this up at this time.
Yeah. So I love your colors. They're so colorful.
Thank you. Laura designed the background. I designed the font and that. But we'll bring it up closer.
And I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but what is Wump Bucket?
Ready? Absolutely nothing. Laura came up with the idea many years ago, even long before the puppets, when I had a home recording studio in our attic, and I said, we just give it a name, and she goes, Wump Mucket. So, and when the puppets started getting where they needed a name, I was going to call it Wonder Puppets. And she said, that's kind of lame in that, people then, that.
Lame, but
Yeah, and it was more of a wink to old sci-fi pulp stories, especially where they had an alien, a sea serpent, and a Sasquatch in the show. But, Laura just said, and she was right, that it was kind of just mediocre. And so she said, well, why don't we just reuse Wump Mucket? Yeah, why not? And oh my, it's kind of funny to be on live television and have the anchor like, oh, I almost said, like, well, and I'll always wear my shirt at that.
Wump Mucket.
And when I do my little routine in the warm up before the show, when I'm live, I get the kids to say it. The kids nail it every time, and then even I've fumbled over it because it's a lot of U's. It's a roller coaster of syllables.
It's one of those things that makes you smile when you say it, though. You can't like Wump Mucket.
And yeah, it's officially ours. So.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's a registered trademark and all that. So, I don't think anyone's going to steal it from me.
So I've been asking all of my guests two things. I always ask the same thing. What are some TV, movies, books, games, recommendations besides your live broadcasts that you would recommend or you've been watching during all this or reading or whatever?
I've been reading H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
Nice. Good choice.
And I found an anthology that had Time Machine, War of the Worlds, and a short story, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through. I found it at our library's warehouse sale for I think $2. And I was reading it to my son, and he wasn't getting into it. And I understand now it's written in Victorian English, and it's, that. And Wells, I don't know if he was like Dickens, as he was paid by the word. So sometimes he could. And I found the Time Machine it went on and on, and it just kind of But I'm enjoying War of the Worlds, and reading that, I watched the more modern Shazam movie and was pleasantly surprised.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's fun. It's hokey, which is good. And so that got me remembering the TV series from the 70s. And I went and found online the ebook through our library to read the graphic novel. And,
cool.
And that was from about 73, 74. So I recognized it. I said, I must have had these. and no way I could afford them now, but I just want to read it. I don't really collect. I read it and I'm good with it. Been reading or watching that TV show Sanctuary that has the woman from Stargate, Amanda Tapping, and she's this brilliant scientist who takes care of cryptids. So they have a Bigfoot in the cast and all this. So it's okay. It's kind of escapism.
Yeah, that sounds something more like my husband would watch. He loves that stuff.
Yeah, I like, and then Doctor Who and Star Trek I watch a lot of.
You're my third Trekkie!
I've been rewatching Deep Space Nine.
A lot of my friends the friends I have that are into Star Trek have been rewatching it right now. It's like a common theme on this show.
Huh, interesting. And listening to podcasts and Gary Newman. I'm a big Gary Newman fan, and
all right.
Listened to a really cool radio show last night. Was it last night? Yeah, that they interviewed him talking about his new record and that. Listening to Rasan Roland Kirk and Sun Ra. Those are kind of my go-to puppet building jazz musician because it's very free-form, out there. And Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yes. My husband grew up obsessed with Bugs Bunny so much that they used to call him Bugga.
Oh. Good thing to be obsessed with. And, those cartoons, even though they're written for adults, they still hold up today. They're so smart. And the comedy in them, it's generally funny.
Tom and Jerry still makes me laugh.
Yes, I love it.
I can't help it.
Yeah. There's nothing funnier than a mouse getting hit with a hammer.
Pretty much.
Or a cat.
So I give every guest the opportunity to take the final few minutes of the show to have the final word, and I put on a new pair of sunglasses, well, new to you, pair of sunglasses, and I sit and I chill and I let you take this moment to be inspiring, tell a joke, hang out with your puppets, whatever you'd like to do. So,
we'll get them up here.
Terrence, the floor is yours.
All right. Let me puppet up here.
I'm excited.
Oh, there we are.
In living color, too. I'll move it there. All right. All right.
All right. What should we sing?
How about we'll do the Puppets Popping song?
Okay. Puppets are popping up all over the town.
Puppets are popping up all over the town.
Hey, everybody, won't you gather round the Womp Bucket Puppets are here.
We've got a sea serpent who likes to sing,
and a Sasquatch joke are quite my thing.
Let's not forget all our other stars. The Womp Bucket Puppets are here.
Cha-cha-cha!
Woo!
I'm tangled in his wire.
Take a bow.
Do we get the gig?
Yes, you're hired.
Pizza for everyone.
That was by far the best final word I've had since I've started this.
Now, we're happy.
How are you guys holding up through all this? You good?
He is holding us up.
Yes, he is. He's got his hands into everything.
Beautiful.
They're fine. They just need to go back into their bag and into the trunk. I'll show you. What you want to see what a puppet dressing room looks like?
Yes, please.
A bag.
Oh.
And this is
at least it's colorful.
Yeah, it's an old Sesame Street children's sheets or something. So we go to the thrift store and find that stuff and just sew them back into bags, and then they go in a trunk. I don't leave them out, so dust and light affects the puppets and the colors of the fabric and the fur. So when they are not in use, I don't walk around with them at home.
Okay.
No, they're part of me, so they're always with me. But unless I'm rehearsing or working on something, they don't. Some people do. Ventriloquists will have their dummies with them and all that, but yeah, they're my tools. A guitarist doesn't walk. Well, maybe some do.
Right.
I don't know. Walk around with a guitarist all the time.
I'm not going to start walking around with a microphone after this, I promise.
Exactly, yeah.
Microphone.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this and bringing all your friends. I want to let you know that my friend Cassandra, who's watching at the beginning of this broadcast, said that she was trying to get rid of her fear of puppets. And now she's commented at the end that she likes these puppets and she's not scared.
You want to know a trade secret, and this is something, or not trade secret, but my design secret. See the mouth?
Yes.
What do you not see?
Teeth.
Or?
A tongue.
Right. And it's designed specifically. Years ago, and this is sad but true, I was chastised for not putting teeth and tongue in my puppet creation. Right. And there's a reason. I work with children. I don't want them to be afraid. Children are going to be more afraid of the thing that has teeth and a mouth. Now, let me think. Cookie Monster. No teeth, no tongue. Elmo. No teeth, no tongue. Grover.
No, he's just pink.
Right, it's just a
Interesting. You taught me something today.
They are puppets. They're not a sea serpent. They're not a Sasquatch. They're puppets. And by giving them that more realism of the teeth and tongue and mouth and lip, I feel that it makes it more intimidating to a child.
I feel that.
I've approached them as a three-dimensional live cartoon.
Yes.
That's it.
That's a perfect way to put it.
It's right here, and it's not going to bite. It doesn't, it won't hurt you. It doesn't have a teeth or tongue. Why? It's a puppet.
You're going to be okay.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for being on today.
Show.
Yes, that many so's. I hope everyone will tune in to Wump Mucket Puppets. What is it? .com?
Yes. And we're on Facebook.
To see how to make puppets, to tune in to the shows on Thursdays. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in today and is watching now or later, for liking, commenting, and sharing, for continuing to support this silly thing I made up a couple of weeks ago and do every day.
Great idea.
Thank you. Tomorrow we continue with the out-of-state perspectives. I have my friend Hannah Weinstein on from California, originally from here though, Boston. And she is a union side labor lawyer. So we'll be having some very interesting conversations and hearing about how it all went down in Southern California. Terrence, thank you so much. And
You're
Coleman
welcome.
and Diro. And thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. Everyone, please stay home, stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, and make some puppets.
Yes,
Woo! Puppets rock.
Bye.